Ron Siegel Radio, your home and mortgage connection.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Radio Show, only on Financial News and Talk. Now live in studio, your host, local and national real estate expert and consumer advocate, Ron Siegel.
And hello again. Welcome to Ron Siegel Radio. This is the show with no real boundaries as we discuss current events, financial markets, politics, sports, even poking fun at the rest of the media. This is the show that connects the dots of confusion, delivered by conflicting media reports. We connect the dots so you know the actions you can take how your family or business can benefit from current events. Most of all, thank you for joining me. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day. We have a very focused show. We only chat about items that affect the roof over your head, your bank account, and anything I feel would benefit you. And then remind you, if you ever have any home or finance-related questions, I am the consumer advocate looking out for you. And you can reach out to me directly, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or ronsiegelradio.com. Just remember, that's the number you call anytime for assistance. When you call that number, it comes directly to me first. There are operators standing by.
Quiet, numbskulls, I'm broadcasting.
While I do have a great team when it comes to developing a financing plan or plan to save you money, I personally work with you, even if you don't have any needs today. Save this number in your phone for future reference, 800-306-1990. 800-306-1990. And yes, of course, we're celebrating today National Apricot Day. Is it apricot or apricot? Does it matter? I like them. I used to be spoiled. Well, maybe some people still say I'm spoiled. But I used to be spoiled that my in-laws had an apricot tree in their backyard. And we used to get lots of apricots. Liked them a lot then. Still like them. Today is also National Law Enforcement Day. You know something? We got to celebrate our law enforcement officers all the time. We appreciate them. Especially, you know, our law enforcement and first responders. Big time appreciation for those men and women, especially right now. And we got Mitchell watching, and thank you for sharing with us, Mitchell. I know that the camera is a little too close to my head, but you know we're working. We got it. And for those of you that are not familiar, we've got a new studio. We're broadcasting. Today's our first day broadcasting at the new studio, and no, I didn't go and get one of those big heads. Although some people would like me to get one of the big heads and just sit there that way, but no, I don't have a big head. Well, maybe I do have a big head. But in any event, we're broadcasting from the new studio, and we're still getting some of the bugs out of it. So thank you for watching us. Thank you for Mitchell. Good morning. I should say good morning to Mitchell. The markets, well, we're not going to see a whole lot from the markets today because the stock market is closed. The bond market's open. The 10-year treasury is down about 3 basis points, all in honor of President Jimmy Carter. Have you been watching the ceremonies? Have you been watching the funeral of President Carter, 39th President of the United States? Yeah, I know a lot of us. I did. Sorry, Josh. I was boring Josh with it earlier. So as I was setting up, getting my things set up here, I had the funeral and some of the eulogies going on in the background. I'm a news nerd, so I guess that's why we hear so much. I'm always watching the news of some sort. Let's see what else is going on in the world. So, have you been watching? It's look at that. I mean, the blemishes here. Josh is going to have a lot of work to do in post today. Of course, then again, I guess you can't do a whole lot with the subject matter. You can fix some of the things, but other parts, I guess, just can't be helped. But I digress. So if you're watching, if you're a news nerd like me, if you're in Southern California, I'm going to share something with you. It is personal in nature, but it's not personal. It's not my experience. So we've got a huge amount of people have lost their homes in Southern California. And I'm not going to get into whose fault it is today because there is plenty of blame to go around. I got some great comments on our discussion of this yesterday where with the $322 billion budget, wonder how many goats you could buy for $322 billion. I bet it would have been enough to clean out a lot of that brush out there in Pacific Palisades and the Hollywood Hills. A lot of those areas where, unfortunately, we didn't take care of our forests. And now Mother Nature has taken care of the forests. But I digress. Let's talk about the human side of this. And if you are watching us, or if you've follow any of our social channels, and you should, because there's a lot of great information that we put on there. But we do have a friend, Erin Williamson, who in the 2017 Canyon fires lost her home, her family home, and has been tirelessly working with other families now on how they can deal with the loss of what they've got going on with residential loss. And some of the things that she shared and she shares on a regular basis. And, just think about this when you're thinking about how you want to help somebody. First off, and these, I'm going to read this from Erin because she wrote it. I could paraphrase it, but she did it best. Number one, remember that they don't realize yet they don't even own a toothbrush. The first day is overwhelming, to say the least. Number two, respect the fact that they are being overwhelmed by phone calls and text messages and may not be able to get back to you. Be patient. Number three, if you want to help, Venmo them money or offer them gift cards to places like Target. Number four, offer to house their pets if they are displaced in a hotel. Some of her friends, they were lifesavers. I know some of them. They did great things for the family. Number five, do not overwhelm them with a bunch of items they have nowhere to put. Only necessities first. Keep it simple with single store gift cards. She mentioned Target because that store saved them on day one when they realized they didn't own underwear or socks or pajamas or phone chargers. Number six, cash is king, Venmo or Zelle. They'll need to go shopping at places that bring them comfort once they realize what they need. How can they nicely say, don't show up with bags of your old clothes unless it is requested specifically when you ask them? You're creating an extra job for them to dispose of what doesn't fit or they don't want. Number seven, many will refuse help out of pride. Remind them that it will bring you joy when they accept your monetary gift and not to feel guilty about taking it. She learned the hard way that she was taking away people's joy by refusing their help. And I know for a fact she's not very good at receiving from others. I think she became a big fan of the Go-Givers, a book. Sorry if you tried to help me and I wouldn't let you. This is her speaking again. I was trying to help you before you could help me. Number eight, offer to make them dinner, invite them to your home, or go to a restaurant. They have nowhere to go. It's nice to feel normal after so much turmoil before deciding what is next. Number nine, don't stop reaching out. The love they felt from friends and even perfect strangers completely restored their faith in humanity. Number 10, encourage them to find temporary rental as soon as possible before they're all taken up. Number 11, advise them to hire an insurance advocate so they'll get their full insurance policy. The insurance company is going to try to give an offer that is much less than what is due. Don't accept the first offer. And if you want to know the name of who helped them, I've got that phone number here. Number 12, remind them that if there was not lives lost, the rest is just stuff and can be replaced. That's guidance, not from me, but from somebody who has walked the path. You are listening to Ron Siegel Radio, discussing your real estate, current events, and the financial markets. When we come back, we got an interesting broadcast for you today. We're going to chat about the personal joys of having a home to call your own. What to save for when buying a home. Time in the market beats timing the market. And how to get a repo off your credit. All that and more. Reach me anytime. Off-air number 800-306-1990. 800-306-1990 or RonSiegelRadio.com. Facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio. And if you miss any part of our broadcast, Ron Siegel 1 on YouTube, Ron Siegel, the numero 1 on YouTube. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
Ron Siegel Radio. Your home and mortgage connection.
As the economy slows, you know anyone worried about job loss. At Siegel Lending Team, we offer the Home Select Loan. Think of it as a financial superhero cape for homeowners with good income and credit. It not only saves your home, but throws a life ring to your credit score. Because who needs stress when you can have peace of mind? Let's secure your future with a smile. Visit rsrhomeselect.com. rsrhomes.com. NMLS 217037.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio. Or anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. And every day at this time, OBMMI, they provide the most comprehensive, accurate, timely, and interactive analysis of pricing ever conducted in the mortgage industry, calculated from actual locked rates with consumers across 35% of all mortgage transactions nationwide. Let's take a look and see what loans locked at yesterday. Now, remember, they do not tell us points paid, points received, or the APR. They only tell us the number that you need to put into your mortgage calculator. And if you don't have a mortgage calculator, we've got a free app for you, rsrlinks.com/mobile app, rsrlinks.com/mobile app. Yesterday, conventional 30-year fixed up 6.96. Jumbo 30-year fixed up 7.161. FHA 30-year fixed 6.603. VA 30-year fixed up 6.519. And the USDA 30-year fixed. That one was flat, 6.543. That's for the rural areas, generally no down payment. So as I mentioned, the stock market is not open today. And we don't have a lot of market moving reports because the markets are closed. We got all of our data yesterday. We're going to get the big data will be coming out tomorrow when we get the Bureau of Labor Statistics report. So let's talk about a Borrow Smart segment. I'm sorry, that's the Mortgage Minute brought to you by our friends at Geneva Financial. When you're ready for that next home loan, Geneva's got the programs and the products. You just need to make the call. 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. Borrow Smart segment today being brought to you by rsrhomeselect.com, rsrhomeselect.com. The personal joys of having your own home, personal joys of having your own home. I think I've got a story for you if my computer screen will open up for me. And I can actually see things because I'm old and my eyes are not real good. There's no doubt that owning a home comes with significant financial benefits. And this time of year is a great time to reflect on the other reasons why owning a home is so meaningful. The house is more than four walls and a roof. It's a place where memories are made, connections are built, and life happens. From the sense of accomplishment that comes with owning your own home to the joy of creating a space that's uniquely yours, the emotional connections we have to our homes can be just as important as the financial ones. Here are some of the things that turn a house into a happy home. Number one, it's an accomplishment you can be proud of. Buying a home is a significant milestone, whether it's your first or your fifth. You've worked hard to make it happen, and achieving this goal is a reason to celebrate. There's nothing quite like stepping through the door of a home that's yours and knowing that you've accomplished something truly special. Number 2, it's a place you can call your own. Compared to renting, owning a home can give you a much greater sense of security and privacy. It's your own place, not your landlord's. And so, and that just feels different. No one else has the keys but you, and that gives you your own personal safe place to retreat to at the end of the long day. Number 3, it's a space that's yours to customize. Owning a home means you have the freedom to personalize it however you like. While there can be HOA guidelines you may have to follow, depending on where you buy, you can still make it a reflection of your style and create a space that feels just right for you. As Freddie Mac explains, quote, "As the homeowner, you have the freedom to adopt a pet, paint the walls any color you choose, renovate your kitchen, and more. You can customize your own space without approvals from your landlords," unquote. Number 4, it's a foundation for building a sense of community. Homeownership often means putting down roots in a neighborhood and becoming a part of the local community. According to groups like Habitat for Humanity, owning a home increases your interest in getting involved with your neighbors and local organizations, whether it's through joining a neighborhood group, volunteering, or simply getting to know the people next door. A home is a great foundation for building meaningful connections. Bottom line, owning a home is about so much more than financial benefits. It's about the pride, well-being, and sense of belonging it can bring. When you're ready to take the next step toward buying a home, give me a call at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. Let's chat about it. Let's see what makes sense for you. That's the Borrow Smart segment brought to you by rsrhomeselect.com, rsrhomeselect.com. And what is RSR Home Select? You need to know it. We have talked about it in the past, and it is absolutely, without a doubt, my favorite loan on the market. It's the best loan on the market. There are some folks that don't understand it, but once you do understand it, it's a great, great program. So what are the benefits of it? Number 1, if you're a senior, it kind of acts a lot like a reverse mortgage. You got to do it before you retire. I mean, there are ways of doing it once you retire, but it's going to be better for you if you do it ahead of time. Just like anything else, planning is important, because when you've got enough equity in your property, the equity can be used to make the interest payments. For the longest, for 10 years, all you really have to do is operate the loan using the sweep function. What is a sweep function? Well, a sweep function means that any money that you're using right now is swept into your checking account. If you're not using it, it's swept into your loan account. When the money's in your loan account, you are not getting charged interest. That's why so many of these loans, in fact, the vast majority of the ones where we've done simulations, the loan is paid off in 10 years or less with no additional payments because of the way the money sweeps in. Interest is charged on a daily basis, but only for the amount of money that's being used. So let's just use some hypotheticals. You go out for dinner. You put that dinner on one of 2 credit cards. I recommend using 2 credit cards. One of the credit cards is actually going to be, you set it up so it gets paid at the beginning of the month. The other credit card in the middle of the month. That way you're maximizing the time that you've got the money swept into the loan account and not getting charged on your mortgage, on your loan account, or on your credit card. So, and then you go and you follow the instructions where we've done this, rsrccpayment.com. You check on those credit cards. You'd have to know when those credit card statements are due, and you pay the bill right before the statement due date. That's going to help maximize your FICO score. But it also maximizes the amount of time that your money is in the loan account. When you pay that bill, it sweeps back into your checking account and pays the credit card bill. So you're minimizing the amount of time that that money's there. Love it. And that's why your interest expense, even though the interest rate might be higher, the interest expense is the lowest possible loan. And in fact, many times, even now, when interest rates, Josh, what did we just say that they're at 6.5, 6.8, something like that? That even though yesterday loans locked at, I think, like 6.8%, give or take, on a 30-year conventional loan on average. Now, again, not APR. That's not what not what you qualify for, but that's where the loans were yesterday. So even though that's where loans were yesterday, the interest rates on the Home Select is a little bit higher, but the expense is far lower. And the effective APR is generally under 3%. Under 3%. Tremendous program, tremendous product. You have to qualify for it. You have to have income to qualify, and you have to have a decent credit score. It doesn't have to be perfect, but it has to be a decent credit score. And we show you all those things. rsrhomeselect.com. rsrhomeselect.com. You can go there and you can get more information about it. And when the time is right, all I need you to do to see if it makes sense for you to start with is I need to see your most recent mortgage statement and give me an idea of what your household income is for the year, for the month, for the pay period. Tell me how often you get paid. And we'll run a simulation. When we run the simulation, it's pretty simple. It'll tell us good idea or not a good idea. You're listening to Ron Siegel Radio, discussing your real estate current events and the financial markets. When we come back, what to save for when buying a home, time in the market beats timing the market, and how to get a repo off your credit report, all that and more. Reach me anytime. Off-air number, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or ronsiegelradio.com, facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio. And if you miss any part of our broadcast, Ron Siegel 1 on YouTube, Ron Siegel, the number 1 on YouTube. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
Ron Siegel Radio. Your home and mortgage connection.
Confused about the home buying process? Or curious how much you really know about buying a home? Take the First Home IQ quiz to test your understanding of buying a home. Aided by the nonprofit First Home IQ, 5-minute quiz will give you a score you missed and why. The quiz in 5 minutes at rsrlinks.com/FHIQ and find out what you need to know about buying your first home. rsrlinks.com/FHIQ.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio. Or anytime at 800-306-1990. 800-306-1990. The real-time real estate segment today being brought to you by rsrmoney.com. rsrmoney.com. What to save for when buying a home. Knowing what to budget for when buying a home may feel intimidating, but it doesn't have to be. By understanding the costs you may encounter up front, you can take control of the process. Here are just a few things experts say you should be thinking about as you plan ahead. Number 1, down payment. Saving for your down payment is likely top of mind, but how much do you really need? A common misconception is that you have to put down 20% of the purchase price, but that's not necessarily the case. Unless it's specified by your loan type or lender, you don't have to. There are some home loan options that require as little as 3.5% or even 0%. An article from Mortgage Reports explains, quote, The amount you need to put down will depend on a variety of factors, including the loan type and your financial goals. If you don't have a large down payment saved, don't worry. There are plenty of options available, unquote. Trusted Lender can go over the various loan types with you, any down payment requirements on those loans, and down payment assistance programs you may qualify for. The more you know ahead of time, the easier the process will be. And the key to getting the information you need is working with a pro to see what'll work best for your situation. Number 2, closing costs. Make sure you also budget for closing costs, which are a collection of fees and payments made to various parties involved in your transaction. Bankrate explains, quote, mortgage closing costs are the fees associated with buying a home that you must pay on closing day. Closing costs typically range from 2 to 5% of the total loan amount, and they include fees for the appraisal, title insurance, and origination and underwriting of the loan, unquote. When it comes to closing costs, a trusted lender can guide you through specifics and answer any questions you may have. They also give you a better idea of how much you should be prepared to pay so you can cruise through your closing with confidence. As you plan ahead for closing day, be sure to budget for your real estate agent's professional services fee too, in case the seller doesn't cover it. But don't worry, you'll work with your agent ahead of time to agree on what that is, so you won't be surprised at the finish line. Number 3, earnest money deposit. If you want to cover all your bases, you can also consider saving for an earnest money deposit, also known as EMD. According to Realtor.com, EMD is typically between 1% and 2% of the total home price and is money you pay as good faith when you make an offer on a house. But it's not an added expense. Instead, it works like a credit and goes towards some of your upfront costs. You're simply using some of the money you've already saved for your purchase to show the seller you're committed and serious about buying their house. Realtor.com describes it, how it works as part of your sale. Quote, it tells the real estate seller you're in earnest as a buyer, assuming that all goes well and the buyer's good faith offer is accepted by the seller. The earnest money fund goes toward the down payment and closing costs. In effect, earnest money is just paying more of the down payment and closing costs up front, unquote. Keep in mind, this isn't required and it doesn't guarantee your offer will be accepted. It's important to work with a real estate advisor to understand what's best for your situation and any specific requirements in your local area. They'll advise you on what moves you should make so you can make the best possible decisions throughout the buying process. Bottom line, the key to a successful home buying saving strategy, be informed about what you need to save for, because when you understand what to expect, you can plan ahead. With an expert agent and a trusted lender, you'll have the information you need to move forward with confidence. That is the Real-Time Real Estate segment brought to you by rsrmoney.com. If you want, we have got 2 buyer guides for you. We've got our 2025 edition, rsrlinks.com/HBG 2025. rsrlinks.com/HBG 2025. We also have the one that we update every quarter, and that would be rsrlinks.com/HBG. rsrlinks.com/HBG. So you can go either place. rsrlinks.com/HBG 2025 to get the annual guide, the quarterly update, rsrlinks.com/HBG. I gotta love some of these information. And there's a part of that story that I want to expand upon just because it is a part of confusion right now. And we talked a little bit about it there, but you need to understand a little bit more about it when you're talking about the costs involved. And part of it has to do with paying for your agent's professional services. Historically, these services were paid for as part of the purchase price. Were they a fixed number? No, they were a negotiated number. They've always been a negotiated number, but it was taken care of in advance. So when the listing agent sat down with the seller, they said, okay, we're gonna offer a 5 or a 6 or a 7% in commission, and here's what we're gonna use that money for. Now, if you've listened to Ron Siegel Radio for any length of time, you know that I have been a very, very big proponent of what we call a 7% technique. What is the 7% technique? Well, go to rsrlinks.com/salesmax, rsrlinks.com/salesmax, and I show you how to get the maximum amount for your property. Part of that is saying, okay, the listing agent is going to do what they're going to do to get your house viewed and in front of as many people as possible. Traditional listing agents, and I can go over this with you in a different time, but traditional listing agents are going to probably get you in front of, if they're aggressive, if they know what they're doing, about 86% of the marketplace. Expert agents get you in front of the other 14% as well. One of those techniques involved there is using the commission to incentivize buyer's agents to promote your property. How do we do that? Pay them. Real simple. Now, the recommendation here is you can pay them whatever you want, but the more you pay them, the more incentive they have. So if you raise the price a little bit and pay the buyer's agent 4%, I'm going to tell you that there are ways that it can be guaranteed that it's going to get you the most money for your property. And again, I don't have time to go into all of that right here, right now, but I'm going to tell you that using that as an incentive is extremely motivating and efficient. So I just want you to understand that it is a very, very important tool. And if you go to rsrlinks.com/salesmax, we show you exactly how to use it and how to make it work for you and for your family. I think we got, do we have time to do a quick real-time real estate segment brought to you by rsrmoney.com? Real-time real estate brought to you by rsrmoney.com. Time in the market beats timing the market. And believe it or not, holds for real estate, holds for the stock market. It's almost anything. Trying to decide whether it makes more sense to buy a home now or wait. There's a lot to consider, from what's happening in the market to your changing needs. But generally speaking, aiming to time the market is not a good strategy. There are too many factors at play for that to even be possible. That's why experts usually say time in the market is better than timing the market. In other words, if you want to buy a home and you're able to make the numbers work, doing it sooner rather than later is usually worth it. Bankrate explains why, quote, no matter which way the real estate market is leaning, though buying now means you can start rebuilding equity immediately, unquote. Here's some data to break this down so you really see the benefit of buying now versus later, if you're able to. Each quarter, Fannie Mae releases the Home Price Expectation Survey. It asks over 100 economists, real estate experts, and investment market strategists what they forecast for home prices over the next 5 years. In the latest release, experts are projecting home prices will continue to rise through at least 2029, just at a slower, more normal pace than they did over the past few years. If you're watching us on RonSiegelRadio.tv, any of our socials, or the ABC News and Talk AM 1490 or FM 98.1 video feed, you are seeing a chart of estimated home price performance. But what does that really mean for you? To give you these numbers context, I'm going to show you another graph that uses a typical home value to show how it could appreciate over the next few years using the home price expectation projections in the prior graph. This is what you could start to earn in equity if you buy a home early in 2025. Ready for this? $83,251 using a typical home, $400,000 home. Now, is that typical for Orange County, California? No, you got to double or triple it. So you'd be even better off, right? In this example, let's say you go ahead and buy a $400,000 home in January. Based on the expert forecast from the Home Price Expectation Survey, you can gain more than $83,000 in household wealth over the next 5 years. That's not a small number. If you keep on renting, you're losing out on this equity gain. And while today's market has its fair share of challenges, this is why buying is going to be worth it in the long run. If you want to buy a home, don't give up. There are creative ways we can make your purchase possible. From looking at more affordable areas to considering condos or townhomes, or even checking out down payment assistance programs, there are options to help you make it happen. So be sure, you could wait, but if you're just waiting it out to perfectly time the market, this is what you're missing out on, and that decision is up to you. Bottom line, if you're torn between buying now or waiting, don't forget that it's time in the market, not timing the market, that truly matters. Let's connect if you want to talk about what you need to do to get the process started today. That is the Real-Time Real Estate segment, brought to you by rsrmoney.com, rsrmoney.com. You're listening to Ron Siegel Radio, discussing your real estate, current events, and the financial markets. When we come back, what is a judgment? Everything you need to know. How to get a repo off your credit, 7 effective removal tips, and more. Reach me anytime. Off-air number, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or RonSiegelRadio.com. Facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio. And if you miss any part of our broadcast, Ron Siegel 1 on YouTube. Ron Siegel, the numero 1 on YouTube. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
Ron Siegel Radio. Home and mortgage connection.
Do you know a homeowner experiencing divorce? Do you know a state reference and the divorce decree could cost tens of thousands of dollars? A certified divorce mortgage planning and real estate report could save you thousands of dollars, and it's free from your local certified. Do you know a homeowner experiencing divorce? Do you know a real estate reference and the divorce decree could cost tens of thousands of dollars? A certified divorce mortgage planning and real estate report could save you thousands of dollars, and it's free from your local certified divorce lending professional. Reach out to Ron today. RonIsMyLender.com. Again, RonIsMyLender.com. Licensed under NMLS 217037, Equal Housing Lender.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio. Or anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. What do we have? Your Credit Matters segment today being brought to you by rsrlinks.com / heck, I don't know. What's Josh got on there? rsrlinks.com / debt free. rsrlinks.com / debt free. What is a judgment? Okay, everything you need to know. A judgment is a legal ruling that settles a dispute and outlines the terms of a debt, including the creditor's right to collect through wage garnishment or property seizure. A judgment is an order issued by a judge or jury to settle a lawsuit. This decision details the rights, responsibilities, and obligations of each party. For example, if you fail to pay a debt, the lender can take you to court. In this case, the judge may order you to pay the other party as part of the court's final judgment. The order can be issued in one of two forms: a monetary judgment, a judgment that orders one party to pay the other party a specific amount of money; a non-monetary judgment, a judgment that involves a non-monetary type of resolution, such as the exchange of property or services. For example, a contractor may be ordered to complete a service for a client. I wonder if you want to have that contractor do the work for you if they're being forced to. There are several classifications for judgments, including one, a personam. This is the most common civil judgment classification. It occurs when one party is liable to another. In rem, rather than involving personal liability, in rem, judgments hold liability over a specific item, such as property. Quasi-in rem. Quasi-in rem judgments consider the legal rights of individuals and not necessarily all parties. Ultimately, if you don't pay a debt, the lender or bill collector can file a lawsuit against you to recoup the money. The judge or jury determines if and how much money you owe. These terms are laid out in the final judgment. What is a judgment on property? Your property includes both physical items and money. That means judgment creditors can seek debt settlement payments from more than your wages and bank accounts. They may also take back a car you financed or other personal property. Another option is placing a lien on some of your property, such as your home. What property can be taken to settle a judgment? Creditors must follow the law when applying a judgment to take or seize your property. Some things are exempt, which means they can't touch those items or properties. Some examples include the home you live in, the furnishings inside it, and your clothes. State laws identify these items and set limits based on their value. Non-exempt property can be taken to help meet a judgment debt. Your creditor can take or leverage these possessions in the following ways. Wage attachments. This is known as a wage garnishment. When your employer receives the proper legal notice, they must withhold a percentage of your wages. These payments are sent to the judgment creditor until your debt is paid. The Consumer Credit Protection Act caps these types of garnishments. The limit is 25% of your disposable weekly wages, or the amount you earn that's above 30 times the minimum wage. The lesser these two amounts applies. Some states set the cap even lower. Non-wage garnishment. If you're retired, unemployed, or self-employed, your bank account may be garnished instead. Here, too, there are exemptions. Veterans payments, Social Security and disability payment benefits are not eligible for non-wage garnishments. Some states add even more restrictions to the garnishment of bank funds. Property liens. If you own real estate, your judgment creditor may file a legal claim against it. These liens notify lenders of the creditor's right to your property. That way, if you sell your real property, the debt must be paid out of the proceeds. In many states, liens are placed automatically when a judgment is entered. Property levies. Judgments may also allow some of your non-exempt personal property to be taken through a levy. Law enforcement may seize things like valuable collections or jewelry to be sold at auction. These proceeds are applied to your debt. What are types of judgments? Judgments come in many forms. Following is a look at several types of judgments. Satisfied judgments, unsatisfied judgments, vacated judgments, summary judgment, renewed judgment. So the ways of getting a judgment, there are several ways. Judgment after trial, as the name suggests, a judgment after trial is a decision that occurs only after a trial. Once the jury or juror hears the evidence and makes a final decision, the judge issues a formal judgment in the case. Number 2, consent judgment. A consent judgment occurs when both parties negotiate a final settlement. The judge must approve this final agreement, which is done by issuing a formal consent judgment. Number 3, default judgment. A default judgment occurs when the defendant fails to respond to a summons and complaint. In this case, the judge issues a default judgment in favor of the plaintiff without hearing any evidence from the defendant. Can judgment affect your credit? Judgments can't directly impact your credit because the details of these orders are not part of your credit report. However, it's likely that issues leading up to the final judgment could affect your credit. For example, your payment history can remain on your credit report for up to 7 years. If you have any missing or late payments that led to the judgment, this history can impact your credit score. A judgment could also have a positive effect on your credit. For example, once you've paid off this debt, the account balance should change to 0 on your credit report. This could help lower the amount of debt you owe, which could impact your credit utilization rate. What is judgment on a credit report? Judgments aren't reported on your report and don't directly impact your score. For many years, credit reports included judgment information, but that changed in 2017. The National Consumer Assistance Plan is responsible for creating more accurate credit data requirements. These changes resulted in the removal of civil debt judgments from credit reports. But don't think they've gone away. They might show up on a LexisNexis report or other kinds of reports. So just be aware they're there. What happens after a judgment is entered against you? The court enters a judgment against you if your creditor wins their claim or you fail to show up to court. You should receive a notice of the judgment entry in the mail. The judgment creditor can then use that court judgment to try and collect money from you. Common methods: the wage garnishment, the property attachments, and the property liens that we talked about earlier. State laws determine how much money and what types of property a judgment creditor can collect from you. These laws vary. What happens when you can't pay the judgment filed against you? You're legally obligated to make these payments. If you can't pay the amount all at once, you may be able to set up a payment arrangement. And if you own a limited amount of property, it may all be exempt from judgment collection efforts. Also, you may not work or only work part-time. With the CCPA cap, that may mean you don't earn enough for garnishment. This inability to pay your debt is called being judgment-proof, collection-proof, or execution-proof. All these circumstances exist. The judgment creditor has no legal way to collect the debt. It's not a permanent solution. The creditor may revisit collection efforts periodically for many years. What's the difference between a civil judgment and a criminal judgment? Civil court typically involves disputes between two parties. For instance, it could involve a case between two individuals, organizations, or one organization, one individual. These cases often pertain to a breach of contract, an unsettled debt, or a lack of services. What can you do? Criminal court is the other one. Someone accused of breaking the law, the federal, state, or local government charges the accused party. If after holding a trial, the defendant is found guilty or the defendant pleads guilty prior to the trial, the judge issues a criminal judgment. A sentence is issued later, which could include jail time or some other form of punishment. What can you do to avoid judgment? Heading off a lawsuit is the best way to avoid a judgment. To do so, don't ignore calls and correspondence from your creditor. Reach out to learn if they'll accept suitable payment arrangements. Educate yourself on smart ways to pay debt collectors and consider using the services of a debt management company. Give me a call at 800-306-1990. Happy to put you in touch with those folks who can help you. And that is a Your Credit Matters segment brought to you by rsrlinks.com/debt-free, rsrlinks.com/debt-free. And as always, we ask, set that first radio preset button to come back here and join Ron Siegel Radio, where we only speak about items affecting your house and your bank account. Thanks to all of our sponsors. A big thanks to Josh and Sean who are engineering us today. And of course, a special thanks to you for spending a little bit of your day with us. That's all for Ron Siegel Radio. Again, if you have any questions or to meet any of our guests, call me anytime, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or ronsiegelradio.com. And remember, make a lot of money, see help a lot of people, and have a lot of fun. Have a great day. We'll talk to you next time on Ron Siegel Radio.
Moving slow, and so am I. Workday passes like molasses.